Back to Toyota Warriors postgame live. Warriors led very briefly early in the game. Last night they led wire to wire tonight. And New York averages about 100 points a game, so they didn't defend tonight. The Knicks scored 119. Steph Curry had 30. Andrew Wiggins had 17. James Wiseman 15 off the bench. A nice night for Eric Paschal, who had to start the second half after Draymond was ejected. He had 12 points. So the story of the game, obviously, is Draymond's ejection. 64 seconds to go in the first half. He gets run by referee John Butler. Kerr, Burt, you know she's going to ask Steve Kerr the most salient question. Let's get a reaction right now from the head coach.
Kerr Burke, NBC Sports Bay Area. Did the referees give you an explanation for Draymond's second technical?
Yeah, at halftime, Ben Taylor came out and told me that it was a mistake, that he didn't realize that, or that John Butler didn't realize that Draymond was yelling at his teammate. He thought he was yelling at him.
I understand people make mistakes. I'm sure you'd say the same. How did it impact the rest of the game that Draymond couldn't play in the second half?
Well, I mean, obviously, Draymond is, one of our best and most impactful players. So it hurt us, but we were playing very poorly to that point anyway. So I'm not going to talk about the officiating. I'm going to talk about our poor play. We just foul constantly. You can't win. We're dead last in the league in fouls, I think, and free throw attempts allowed. And you can't win games when you just foul. You're constantly having to bring the ball up out of the net after the team shooting free throws. You can't build any rhythm at all. We had 4 fouls in the first 55 seconds of the fourth quarter. So we are who we are, and I obviously have to do a better job. We're undisciplined, and we've got to find a way to defend without fouling, obviously.
What is the main issue, would you say there? Because like you said, you're trying to build this defensive, habitat, but
right.
Clearly over fouling. What's the problem?
Mindless reaching, mindless decision-making defensively. I mean, we've got a very long and athletic team, and we've got an opportunity to be very good defensively. I've been touting our defense, especially since Draymond came back. But play after play, you got, guards getting into the paint, and, instead of having to shoot a floater over James Wiseman or Draymond Green, we're just hacking guys from behind right across the wrist as if we're going to get a steal or something. So we're just totally undisciplined defensively. Generally, we play hard, and I love our guys' effort. But, I told them the other day that it's hard to win in this league night after night on talent and emotion. You can't count on that. There's going to be nights where you go 9 for 38 from the three-point line. And there's going to be nights when you're tired and you're on the second night of a back-to-back and you don't have the same juice. And so the way to win those games is by executing, taking good shots, having good defensive balance, defending without fouling, rebounding, being solid. So we are not that team yet. So I'm hopeful that we can get there. But right now we are, as I said, dead last in the league in free throws allowed, fouls, rebounds. So we are not a solid team. We can be a good team, but we have a long way to go.
Hi, Steve. Carlos Ramirez. Carlos Ramirez, NBC Bay Area and Telemundo. How can you get a rhythm on a game that has 58 fouls called?
You can't.
Totally.
You can't.
And when you're in the game, do you see? I'm looking for a parallel. When you're in a baseball game, you see that the ref might have, and the umpire might have a different strike zone. Do you see refs having different foul zones or ways of calling the game, and do you tell that to your players, like, okay, let's have a different approach, or just go out and play?
In baseball, if the ump calls a strike, it's a strike. If he calls a ball, it's a ball. Nobody's reaching. The catcher's not reaching and raking the batter across the arms. we are raking people across the arms. We are grabbing people by the waist coming off screens. We're fouling. It has nothing to do with the refs. It has to do with us. So we practice defensive fundamentals every day, and it's obviously not enough. So I've got to think of some way to get across to these guys, how we're going to defend. And maybe it just means if a guy reaches, he comes out, and forget the defense or the rotation. Just take a few games where if you reach, you come out, and we just have a bunch of guys filing in and out of the game. And if they reach, they come out, and then another guy goes in, and next guy comes out when he reaches. And that's the only thing I can think of, because we practice defense without fouling every day, and it's not happening. So we've got to somehow find a way.
Steve, Kendra Andrews, NBC Sports Bay Area, you were just talking about different tactics to try and improve some of those things. And earlier on in the season, you said you would have to adjust your coaching for this kind of team, a team that's trying to work their way back up in the league. How are those adjustments going for you? Do you think that you need to make more adjustments moving forward?
Yes, the main adjustment I need to make is to get across to the team without fouling, or we're not going to be good. So I have to figure out what that adjustment is.
Hi, Steve. When Draymond Green and Steph Curry aren't in the game, who do you look to be the catalyst of your team?
Well, the reason I put Nico Mannion in the game in the third quarter, I was looking for a spark, and he's an excellent passer. And with Draymond out, obviously Steph is going to draw a lot of attention, and I wanted to put another ball handler into the game to get Steph off the ball. But, Steph and Draymond are our leaders. And if one of them's out, if both of them's out, it's up to the entire team to pick up the slack and help us execute. But we did not execute. We didn't turn the ball over a ton, 10 turnovers total, which is a really good number. But our shot selection, they must have felt like they blocked about 20 shots. We just kept barreling into the lane, trying to shoot over Robinson and Noel, and our sense of drive and kicking was nowhere near where it needed to be.
Greg Popovich left town after the game.
No, he did not.